Are we? Are we? Yeah, we are live right now. Okay, so you know, it's been about 6 hours since our last stream, which I think that was a really productive stream too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I think what was really good is just like I think that's just something that I think that was something that was really good to get from both Grant and Carl was just the different perspectives they had when it came to how maybe not save the comics industry, but at least take steps to right the ship a little bit.
Oh yeah. But it's gonna be interesting time, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Technically, we're waiting in untested waters in terms of indie comics.
Mm. You know, I think that. I think I remember like back in the day when Image started out, they tried their hand at making a shared universe, but and they sort of give up on that at some point after a certain point.
Yeah, because it was basically impossible to have these different studios under one branch create one distinct universe.
Especially when the whole conceit behind Image was that they owned their own properties.
Yeah, and the thing with the mytho, our thing of the mythoverse is that we're agreeing to share our stories of each other and create basically one world.
Actually, what this kind of reminds me of what we're doing is sort of what the Jim Shooter was doing with Valiant back in the day.
Yep.
Although even although I think the snag is though Valiant was basically Jim Shooter just doing what he did with Marvel. The only difference was that there was more of a vision, like more of a singular vision, like it was what he wanted it to be.
He had more freedom for that.
Yeah, it was kind of up until he left the company. But yeah, it was basically just Valiant was Jim Shooter's Marvel, like the Marvel he wanted to make. I think.
Yeah, when he was at Marvel, he had such limited limited stuff to work with.
Well, but yeah, there's also a lot of horror stories about Jim Shooter being sort of a slave driver and shit. But you know what? At least he was able to get people to keep deadlines.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading the Hawkeye comics by Matt Fraction. They'd always be late.
Yeah. But yeah, I think and I think we definitely had the right idea with the Mythoverse space, sort of outlining the rules with it, just so there's a level of consistency.
Definitely, it's gonna be a challenge to keep it all straight, But I think we can do it.
I think the thing is, I think the I think the thing I think the thing though is like I think what is going to separate us from like the big two and even Valiant to us is that we're still going to allow for some level of creator owned. Like, I mean, are we? I mean, like we signed up with Wicked because we would get to own them.
Yeah, we definitely own the Mythoverse.
I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, like if we because like you don't if you make a book if you come up with a new character in Marvel or DC or even Valiant, the snag is you don't own that character. They do.
That's pretty much it. Because in when Marvel did the Transformers comic line, they made it so that any new characters created for Transformers in those comics, they are
But
owned by
Like
Marvel.
Death's Head.
What?
Like Death's Head.
Yep, Death's Head, Circuit Breaker, and so on. It's basically it was a something you didn't want to put your best work in to, just something that you wanted to put in your what worked for the comic and Marvel.
Yeah. But that's why Death's Head has never appeared in a Transformers cartoon though.
Neither have the characters called the Neo Knights, who are basically superheroes.
Although to be fair, I can't imagine how well the Neo Knights would translate into a Transformers cartoon, but I think it's a crime that Death's Head has not been in one.
Yeah, he also killed Bumblebee in the UK comics.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he killed Bumblebee, but got to kill off a fan favorite.
I think about the closest I've ever seen to Death's Head was Lockdown in Transformers Animated.
Yeah,
But even
they
then,
hit.
I think Lockdown actually precedes that cartoon.
I think so. And Death's Head, I believe he was created by Simon Furman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see. Actually, I wonder if he's writing a new comic.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he is because it's Marvel and they're probably going to butcher it. Much like they butchered Angela.
They what? Oh yeah. How did they ever get Angela in? Because like she was supposed to be a Spawn character.
Well, what happened was that Neil Gaiman was suing Todd McFarlane over a contract dispute with Angela and Medieval Spawn. Basically, Todd McFarlane had in the contract where Gaiman got to keep whatever character he created. He went back on that, and so there had been a legal dispute for about a decade or so. When when a judge ruled that Gaiman owned the characters, to spite McFarlane, he sold Angela to Marvel.
And we got Mike Whitaker in the chat. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, but yeah, bringing it back, I also double checked. As far as I can tell, Lockdown does not precede the Transformers animated series. There is a Lockdown G1, but he only for Generation 1, but he only appeared in the IDW comics.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that in the Transformers line that didn't make it into the show or the comics. In fact, the Autobot Shock Trooper team, the Wreckers, were created by Simon Furman to give the lesser known characters more screen time, more spotlight.
Mm-hmm. I actually remember the Wreckers getting brought up in one episode of Transformers Prime. Bulkhead actually used to get and Wheeljack actually used to be in that unit.
Yep, but the original lineup for the Wreckers was Springer and the Triple Changers, as well as lesser known G1 characters Roadbuster. Trying to think of the other ones. Twin Twist, Top Spin.
I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at right now. Roadbuster Cup, RC, Ultra Magnus, Leadfoot, Perceptor, Bulkhead, Wheeljack, Rodimus, Inferno, Shockwave, Jetfire, Sea Spray, Cyclonus, and Skywarp.
That sounds like the IDW.
Might be getting stuff. I just googled and this was the first thing that showed up.
It's probably the IDW because
Okay, I'm gonna look in the WikiNet. So Mike is asking how things are brewing in the Mythoverse. Right now we're just counting down the days till the. We're at the point we're just counting down the days till the Kickstarter goes live.
which will be soon.
8 days. Okay, so I'm looking at the Generation 1 version. Let's see. It doesn't really give me a good list. Oh, here we are. Broadside, Impactor, Inferno, Rack and Ruin, Roadbuster, Sandstorm, Springer, Topspin, Twin Twist, and Whirl. That's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And basically, they were wiped out in the huge event called Time Wars, which had Galvatron and Megatron teaming up.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm looking at the 2005 IDW Coyotes. I want to just pull that up. Let me see if I can get the roster for that one. I'm going off my phone, so I gotta scroll pretty. We'll throw a lot of crap first. Let's see. Where are you? Ah, wow. This one is fucking long.
Yeah, it's not so much as an exclusive unit as it is that anyone could join.
Rumble. Hey, there's Rumble Terror. Okay, so here we are. So for the
Hey, Rumble.
IDW one, RC by association, Blocker, Breacher, a trainee, Broadside, Bulkhead, trainee, Crest, second known leader, Guzzle, Hubcap, Hyperion, third known leader, Impactor, fourth known leader, Iron Fist. Surprised they didn't get sued. They didn't get a cease and desist for that. Cup, Perceptor, Piston, Pyro, Wreck and Ruin, Roadbuster, Rotorstorm, Sandstorm, Scoop, Six Knight, Trainee, Springer, fifth known leader, Stakeout by association, Strong Arm, Trainee, Threnody, first known leader. I don't know how you pronounce this. I can only get it.
They had a lot of weird made-up names.
Topspin, Twin Twist, Valve, Verity, Carlo, and Whirl.
By the way, Verity Carlo is a human.
Oh yeah, I think I know who she is. I remember seeing her get named checked in a video that was listing off the best human characters in Transformers.
The initial human companions that Sean Furman came up with for IDW were interesting, but then IDW had to ruin that.
Also, thanks for the vote of confidence there, Mike. He says, "Fun. Hope the nails aren't going to be completely gnawed off until then." But in all seriousness, Godspeed. What are we playing today, Rumble? We're not playing anything right now. Matt and I are just like I think initially we were just talking about. We were just reflecting on today's earlier stream we had with Carl and Grand, and now we're talking about Transformers for some reason.
Kind of weird how we go on a tangent.
Hey, if the Kumite can do it, so can we.
Yeah, that's true.
One of my great internet achievements will always be that I got to do some that I got to get Tonka to say on air, "You leave Milo and Otis out of this. People have wholesome memories of Milo and Otis." The context to that was, I think what happened was they were talking about gory movies, and then I kind of brought up Cannibal Corpse. I mean, not Cannibal Corpse, Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Corpse is a band. Yeah, I brought up Cannibal Holocaust, where I mentioned that it was that movie where the director had to prove in court that he didn't kill his actors on camera. Not kidding, that actually happened.
Yeah, I read all about that.
Unfortunately, well, he didn't actually do it to the actors. However, the same cannot be said for the turtles in that movie.
Well, they had looser standards back then.
Also, filmed in South America, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, then somewhere along the line, I think I just brought up. Anyone remember Milo and Otis? I did not think of anything of all the things Tonka would be protective of. I would not think it'd be his childhood memories of Milo and Otis.
Look, the man can have the things that he wants to protect.
I almost want to, get Ginger to do some better and just have him holding Milo and holding the pug and the cat, and he's just saying, "You leave Milo and Otis alone." Almost want to do that.
Wow.
That'd be funny as fuck. I think where this originally started. I think where this tangent started was we were speculating on like how we can do the shared universe while still letting creators own their work, but that seems like it's a thing where you only can do one or the other.
Yeah, but here the thing is, I think that we're gonna be okay because we don't have that big of an ego between each of us.
I know. I'm not. That's not what I'm. Well, we don't. I'm not worried about the three of us, but there's like maybe I'm just overthinking about it, and maybe it's just something we'll just have to deal with and with when it happens. But it's like that's just I guess it's just kind of the trade-off you have to deal with. Like you can have a shared universe, or you can own your own work, lock, stock, and barrel, but you can't do both.
Yeah. There are you can put limitations on what you can do with the characters. Hey, Wicked Publishing is in.
Is it Mike or Matt who's watching though?
It's probably Mike. So we got two. So if it's Mike, we've got two mics in the chat.
If it was Matt, it'd probably be under his account. Now that I think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Mike.
Yeah, but it was right. Okay, so
two mics and a terrier.
But yeah, I guess about the only reason, the only thing you can maintain control over your work is that, Well, actually, I got something for both of you. Mike and Mike is actually a morning radio show out in Chicago for ESPN Radio. Mike and Mike in the morning. The shtick is you have Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg. Now, what makes the dynamic interesting is that Mike Greenberg, he's a sports writer. He comes at it from the perspective of a fan, whereas Mike Golick actually used to play with the Bears back in the day, so he comes at it from the perspective of a player. Actually gets as far that radio show gets as far as Michigan. I can attest to that.
I'll take your word for it. And it seems like we're getting a pitch session in the chat.
Yeah.
So CBS, if you're paying attention to this show, there might be some gold in here.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, back to what it was. I think the way you can do a shared universe and still maintain creative control, though, is that you basically say this is my book, I work on it, and I'll lend it to, and if other people want to work on it, I'll decide who gets it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you can decide, okay, I want to, like you can basically just, yeah, I mean, like it's this, you have the sandbox, but you can decide what you do in that sandbox.
And we reserve the right to pull you if you're not doing a good job.
Which basically means You make it sound like at a certain point, Yumi and Dana are going to have to graduate to editor positions in there.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm probably gonna kill off Althea before I let her be given to someone else.
I might go like Brian and let other people do Maeve, but I got to make sure I have a good feeling about them first.
Yeah, I was just joking about killing her off,
Yeah.
but that's only if it's an extreme situation where I don't trust anyone. But I trust you and Dan at least.
Yeah. Wicked Mike asks, have you approached doing a shared universe together then? Like, I think at this point we're just still making it up as we go. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like Indiana Jones. There is no plan. We're making it up as we go.
we don't, we're still figuring it out. I think about the most we have figured out at this point is we just have a background rule list of rules. I mean, like, which thankfully worked out for us because we really didn't have to change anything in our books.
That's why we came together as a shared universe. I think if we had any more differences, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I mean, like, if anything, it's kind of like the three books actually kind of add things to each other. Because I mean, before we did this, like, your big reason for Mythics not using magic too often was that they didn't want to get noticed. Which, sure, fair reason, valid reason, makes sense. Doesn't carry the same weight that getting potentially caught by a paladin does, though.
Yeah.
Because now with the threat of the paladins in the universe, there's this oppressive atmosphere in the book. Like, Althea has to watch her back a lot more. Like, she can't be certain that, like, we have to assume that paladins are everywhere and watching. Like, she has to, like, now, and she can't be, and she never. It's like being in Soviet Russia. You never know where there's a KGB spy.
Pretty much, especially when paladins have their own careers too.
Yeah, it's like and it's like and it's kind of like what Odo said about the Obsidian Order. People have been known to disappear for less.
Yep.
Actually, we gotta ask Dan whom he feels the Paladins are closer to, the Obsidian Order or Section 39.
Section 31.
I thought it was Section 39.
Nope, it's 31.
Okay. What, in your opinion, Obsidian Order or Section 31?
I'd say a little of both. Because even with to a certain point, they're both do whatever it takes to protect the nation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd have to say that it leans more towards Obsidian Order because the Obsidian Order actually tried to take over the Cardassian.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can kind of see that because, I mean, like the conceit of Adobe Kroger is that the Paladins do basically run the world.
Yeah, and Section 31, despite how they don't seek power. They just want to protect the Federation by any means necessary.
Yeah, and that's where the gray area comes in, is that they will do things that are outright betrayals of the Federation values to do that.
Yep.
Whereas the Obsidian Order, like, you can, I think, like, you can actually make the argument that they're the ones who run Cardassia, not the government, not the actual government.
Yeah, it's just one of those oppressive orders.
Yeah, I mean, like that was kind of that was actually kind of one of my favorite aspects of out of Deep Space Nine too. Was shit like the Obsidian Order, just like kind of it, and especially like what actually with Garrick, because like he was an Obsidian Order agent. Eh.
Perhaps.
Yeah, because the thing I mean, like I keep going back to like how like Garrick is like probably I go with that. He's definitely one of my favorite Star Trek characters just because of just how morally gray he is. Like he's the definition of a true neutral.
Especially when it comes to assassinations.
Actually, no. I'm taking that. I'm rolling that back. He's not a true neutral. He's a lawful neutral. He doesn't care what form Cardassia takes. The only thing he cares about is that Cardassia persists.
Which I can definitely see him as he'll do whatever it takes, even though he's just a tailor.
Well, he's not
allegedly.
Oh no, yeah. He's loyal to Cardassia because he's loyal to Cardassia. What form that happens to take, it doesn't matter to him. It's just the only thing that matters to him is that it persists, and that's how he saw his work in the Obsidian Order, was making sure that Cardassia survived.
Yep,
I mean, after all, in that one episode during the finale, he pointed a gun at who was that? I don't think it was Damar. It was another Cardassian. He had Kira at gunpoint, and then Garrick pulls a phaser on him, and that Cardassian says, "Garrick, you're a Cardassian. You're not going to kill one of your own for a Bajoran." And he just says, "How little you understand me." Which shows he's not above killing his own people, if it serves his idea of the greater good.
Pretty much. He's definitely one of the most interesting characters in Star Trek.
Yeah.
If he was a character during the Roddenberry years, he'd be a villain.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, fuck, if Dukat had been around in the Roddenberry years, he would have been full-out space Hitler.
Yep. Of course, he'd be brought down by Picard's words. Or in this case, Sisko's words.
Yeah. Wasn't Khan already technically space Hitler?
Well, he was Earth Hitler. 21st... 20th...
He was in the 1990s.
Yeah. Yeah, which got really confusing when Voyager went back in time to 1996 and there was no eugenics wars.
Yeah. Man, it really shows you how they really well you got to cut in some slack. They could not have known that Star Trek would last that long.
No, I'm talking about in Voyager, that when they actually went back to 1996.
Yeah, I know. They really should have retconned that. Or at least just played up the idea like it was an alternate future.
The funny thing is that they retconned it in the books. But eugenics wars wasn't so much of a full-blown war as it was a type of Cold War.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, in First Contact, they alluded to a Third World War actually happening.
Yeah, but they also had a World War III referenced in the original series as well.
Yeah. Okay, so what? Okay, so like, what was? Okay, so if they retcon the Eject Wars into being something more like another Cold War, so like what that kick started? Did that kick off a third World War then?
No, it's just basically that Cold War ended with Khan getting dethroned, so to speak.
I really did, dude. I really do not get this.
Star Trek is one of those shows that it's better to not think about the the continuity.
Actually, now when you look, okay, if you had to rank them, Metal Gear Solid, Legend of Zelda, Marvel, or DC, and Star Trek, which one? How do you rank the timelines in terms of confusing?
Well, Marvel tends to I would tend to retcon, so I think that's less confusing than say Star Trek. For the most part, I think superhero comics are given a certain leeway
Mm-hmm.
because they're superhero comics and they throw logic out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Zelda is a fantasy game, so that's also given some leeway. Star Trek starts having problems as soon as they hit the next generation. Because by the time of next when they do next generation, they retconned just about everything. Such as in in the original series, the Enterprise could go up to I think warp 12.
Uh-huh.
The next generation, it's become impossible for the Enterprise to go above warp 10. Or like if you're out warp 9.7, that was maximum speed. And then you had all these conflicting episodes in the next generation about where it involves money, such as they'll bring up how there's no there's no money in the future, and in the next episode, hey, look at what I just bought.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's always been a sticking point with me. Like they just got rid of money.
And then they had money in the next episode.
Yeah.
In the sixth Star Trek movie, Scotty states that I say that he bought a boat.
Yeah, like kidding.
But
So what? Nothing on. So what? Nothing to say with Metal Gear Solid though.
no, I think video games and is given the same leeway as superhero comics.
I don't know. Have you seen how
Yeah,
people obsess over the continuity of Metal Gear Solid?
I actually have not.
Especially when you can trust me. Like the longer you look at the overall continuity, the more you start to realize Kojima is literally making this shit up as he goes.
Yeah, although here's something funny that I saw in a YouTube video on the continuity issues with Star Trek.
But
In the original series, the Enterprise is sent about 1,000 light years away from its previous position in the galaxy, and at warp 8, it'd take about a week to get back. Voyager is sent just as far away.
into the Delta Quadrant.
Yep. And it'd take them 70 years. So the Enterprise in the original series was a lot faster than the Voyager. top of the line starship at the time.
Mike also says Zelda is a fantasy game with time travel, dark worlds, other realms, and dream realms. You know, I'm at least glad we decided to eliminate time travel as a possibility in the Mythoverse.
Same here.
I'm not against time travel, but the problem as a concept, but the problem is you have to apply it with a very deft touch. I've only seen it work well in either Back to the Future or Doctor Who. And that's just because both series are built around the idea of time travel.
The fourth Star Trek movie was good as well.
I guess, but I don't. Honestly, I don't. I kind of. It was a good movie. I won't take that away from it, but I really don't like that Star Trek dabbled in time travel either.
Yeah.
Because the problem with time travel is that then because that was an issue that Back to the Future addressed directly, was that because Marty going back in time, I nearly made it so that he never existed.
Which that was a that was definitely a sticking point for those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what made it work in The Voyage Home was how 21st century people from 21st century did not understand 20th century Earth.
Yeah. Okay, that was a little. Yeah, that was in. I'll give it that. That was interesting. That was good. Yeah, it was.
Such as when
they cross the street and nearly get run over by a taxi, and yeah, I'll give it. I'll give it that.
Called a dumbass.
Yeah, and then you got, and then yeah, I mean, but then you got like Doctor Who. Like I said, the whole conceit of that is time travel, but it doesn't just. It's not just going into the past; it's also going into the future, and it probably It kind of, I think, it understands time travel a little better because like the TARDIS isn't even so much a time machine as it is like a pocket dimension.
Yeah, considering it's bigger on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, because like it's just so it's like going back in time with the TARDIS doesn't even really you're not even really putting the risk at changing history or anything because that's the thing because like when you go with when you get into time travel you're always running the possibility that you could make a paradox.
Yeah, they actually brought it up in one of the Star Trek comics about the glasses.
Yeah.
Check off questions about what happened. Questions McCoy where he got the glasses from because what could have happened was that there was an infinite loop created by them selling the glasses to the pawn shop.
That is what. Oh god, yeah. Like, dude, that's actually the whole conceit of an episode of Red Dwarf.
And well, McCoy's response was to tell Kirk, "That's what happens when you let him hang out with Spock for too long."
Yeah. Actually, no. Oh man, I also remember Terminator. Well, the first two at least Terminator first two movies were playing with time travel at least well.
Mm-hmm.
And then after three, just like.
Salvation wasn't about time travel, and Genesis was just convoluted.
Well, actually, Salvation didn't play around with time travel because Salvation was it was supposed to be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that one gets some slack.
Genesis gets no slack.
No, it does not.
Genesis was crap.
Yes. I had a friend refer to it as Terminator Genocide.
And James Cameron showed how old he is by saying that it's the third Terminator movie. He made it part of the canon. After Terminator 2, Terminator Genesis.
Could it just be that he did not want to acknowledge that Terminator 3 existed?
I think the man just doesn't do good movies anymore. I don't think.
I don't know. I heard. Okay, no, I'm not going to say Alita because he didn't direct that. He produced it.
Yep. And Avatar was the only thing that people praised
Avatar wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It wasn't exceptional either. It was just there. It was a glorified tech demo.
pretty much.
I mean, to his credit, he does at least. I think at least with Avatar, he was trying to push filmmaking technology forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like he is. That's what the sense I get is that he wants to at least get the medium to move forward. And what he was doing with Avatar, yeah, well, I think that is what we're going to start seeing more of that.
We're gonna see.
Mike says, "I like how time travel works in Zelda. In that it only works in a temple or specific circumstances. Adds a bit of a multiverse thing too." Oh my god, that gets really confusing.
I think that's what that's what keeps Zelda from having continuity issues because there's a multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, how else? How else are you playing multiple versions of Link anyway?
Yeah. So I remember something that I thought was really funny about that video on Star Trek continuity issues. The guy went and counted every single time Voyager fired their torpedoes.
All the time.
Yeah, and it turned out that they fired more torpedoes than they said they had in the first episode. And that was supposed to be of no way of replenishing them.
And here's the thing, because like I've always said, like Battlestar Galactica, like the first few seasons of Battlestar Galactica 2005, like that's kind of what Voyager should have been like.
I think what happened with that was
Everyone, welcome to Inside.
they actually wanted to do some. They were trying to play the concept in a future where everything is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You had replicators, so it wasn't unheard of that to hear that they could replicate parts for a torpedo, so they could just build more torpedoes, or they could just, as part of the whole whole thing with other advanced races, just try to trade for torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like every single race in Star Trek has similar designs for the torpedoes. In all the major races in Star Trek, with the Klingons and Tharian, they both developed the same kind of torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
While the Romulans had plasma torpedoes, but I think Romulans are different. It could be said that they advanced much further because they're much older than the other two races.
Well, they're a spin-off from the Vulcans.
Yep.
Actually, I have to wonder how much have the Romulans really diverged from the Vulcans to be a completely separate species.
Biologically, I don't think they didn't change a whole lot.
Yeah, because I think about the only thing I can really pin down is that they've only diverged from them culturally.
Yeah, that's just about it.
So it's not like they're not a separate species. It's more like they're separate in the separate in the way that they're separate in the way Chinese and Japanese are separate, but they're still Asian.
pretty much.
Those, so yeah, they're not even a separate race.
Nope, which is why Spock was trying for reunification.
Oh yeah, I remember that being like a big arc in Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
That was
If
actually
there's-
one. That was one where we actually got a crossover with him and Data.
Yep. I'm gonna say one of the more interesting books I've read from Star Trek were the William Shatner written ones, where it brings Kirk back from the dead.
Uh-huh.
So you get to see him and Picard interact more often and end up having a friendship.
Yeah. Actually, I think what was really interesting about one of those episodes in Next Generation was that Spock was talking with Data and he said, "You have what so many Vulcans strive for already, and yet you're seeking to be more human."
Yeah, it's one of the things that you could say that Spock's arc was coming to terms with this human side.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy had said that a lot of what he considered to be the Spock arc for the original movie series was essentially 3, 4, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's Spock coming back from the dead in the third movie. Fourth movie was coming to terms.
Relearning all the things. Relearning everything you basically forgot.
Yep. And the sixth is just basically him utilizing both his Vulcan side and his human side. Because there were some moments where he visibly showed his human side, emotional side, such as when he smacks the phaser out of Laris's hands.
Mm-hmm. But I just thought that like that was just a really interesting observation that he made about Data, and it's like, of course, Data being Data, he doesn't think anything of it. It's like because for him I think he's just I think with Data he's looking for the ability to feel emotions because he feels like the way he was designed, he has a very limits his experience. Like without the ability to understand emotion, there's this whole other dimension to existence he's missing out on. He's not complete, and he's effectively incomplete until he starts to grasp emotion,
which comes in the form of emotion chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the real hook of his character is that he is trying to become more complete.
Yeah, which is based on the Phase 2 character Zahn, who was Spock's replacement.
Really?
Yeah. There was supposedly this whole story arc with Kirk coming to terms that this Vulcan is not Spock. Because he makes mistakes that Spock would never have made.
It's actually kind of amazing, like how that hook actually works so well for Data. I mean, like, well, that's essentially his whole character arc is him trying to be a more complete being, for lack of a better term, because maybe it's just because you can understand not feeling like you can understand feeling incomplete, and until you get this thing, you're never gonna be a complete person.
Yeah, that's a it's something that's hard for a lot of people to grasp. The idea of that whole idea of trying to become a complete person.
Yeah.
In a way, I guess you could probably say that you're doing the same thing with Maeve.
I don't. That's maybe a little bit, but I think honestly, her emotional hook is just trying to figure out where she belongs.
Yeah,
I mean, she's all. I mean, I guess there's little shades of it there, but yeah, that's not. I don't feel that's her hook.
well, it's not so much that. Actually, in a way, she is similar to Spock in that she's also trying to come to terms that of her status as being half human.
Well, yeah, having a dual heritage, and there's. I mean that. Well, that I said was kind of inspired by a friend of mine who grew up biracial. She's half white and half First Nation Canadian, which, if you don't know what that means, guys, that's their version of being Native American. And she always kind of said, like, she always felt like she never really belonged in either.
Which I think, yeah, which I think that's also part of the reason for Spock's popularity, because here's this character who who's not completely human, but also not completely alien.
It doesn't really belong in either world.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, I mean, like, even without that, I think Maeve's emotional hook is still very strong, because, like, pretty much everyone at her age is struggling to figure out where they fit in.
Of course, you're probably going to have a lesser version of the "I do what I want" attitude.
Yeah, she's not exactly a rebel, at least not now.
Eventually, she'll be a rebel.
We'll see. I think. Yeah, well, I think I don't know. I think it's more. I think if she has a rebellious streak, it's more from her figuring out, hey, wait a minute. All my life, my mom's sort of been making decisions for me. I can do things on my own.
Yep.
It's just more like her just wanting to assert her own independence. Whereas compared to Althea and Adobe, like, Adobe's was just, I think, that was just an act of spite through and through.
Oh, no doubt.
It was an act of spite that was also kind of the result of a really bad upbringing.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, how else do you come to terms with your parents not being your real parents? For a teenager, that's gonna be rather. It's gonna hit them hard.
Especially when your mom was kind of turns neglectful, and when your mom kind of turns neglectful, and she's cycling through one bad boyfriend after the next.
Yep.
And in Althea's case, it was just really more a cry for attention.
Yeah. Although to the point where it shows her intelligence by her ability to control her grades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it had to do with. I definitely don't think, like. I don't think we'd ever see the Althea doing stuff as extreme as being as Adobe or being as, I want to say, lack of a better term, bratty, already as Maeve might get. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of that thing where it's like if a parent just keeps like too much of a stranglehold on their kid, and right when their kid starts figuring out, wait, I don't need my parents to make all my decisions for me. They kind of, it's like, what's the best? It's like if you're trying to hold back. It's like if you're trying to hold back a flood instead of just opening the floodgate.
Pretty much.
Like the way I see it is like, I think the way I kind of see it in my head is that Maeve's mom, like, she's kind of wrongly internalized a lot of Maeve's shortcomings as her own failure, and she's been overcorrecting for it ever since.
Yeah, I figure to a point it'd be them blaming themselves for their own inadequacy as parents.
Yeah.
Or at least perceived inadequacy.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like what Dan's told us, that's like there are few things that are worse when you're a parent than not being able to help your kid.
Yeah.
And if you start making yourself feel like you're failing them, like, what are you gonna do? Like your only options at that point are try to fix it or just give up.
And
Well,
I think any parent would try to fix it.
yeah. But it's just, let me put it this way. I would say Maeve's mom had the exact opposite problem that Adobe's did.
Yeah, but I think to a certain extent, Maeve's mom is more. See, it's more about, as she's more going, as she has her daughter as her first, as being the first thing that's important, rather than herself.
Well, that's kind of how a parent should act. That parents should put their kids before their own needs.
Yep.
That's how it's supposed to be done. Like I said, the problem is she just swung too far in the other direction.
Yeah, and I have to say that with Althea's adopted mother, she just, to a certain extent, the biological kids, because I would become first, in a way. Or at the very least, for Althea, she had a perception that her adopted brothers and sisters were more important than her.
Yeah.
Human emotions are complicated.
Yeah, it's just I would say if you're going to be a writer, you better have a good grasp of human nature.
Yeah.
I would not say I wouldn't say it's something you have to go to, like, you have to like learn psychology to be good at. It's just like you just have to understand that you just have to understand how people work. You have to understand why people do things they do.
Yeah, to an extent. To an extent, I'd have to say that a lot of people have this perception that characters are robots that writers control.
I think puppets is a bit more apt.
Well, yeah. They're puppets to writers' will.
Yeah.
So they can't have any kinds of flaws, or they can't have double standards. They can't be imperfect. if they say something, they always mean it, which
Mhm.
is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you were to if you're to have Maeve tell her mom that she hates her, she's not gonna mean that.
No, just like she might just say it just because she's mad.
Yeah,
Like kids that like I never did that with my parents, but I'm pretty sure there's lots of kids that can relate to having done that. Like you say
yeah,
something you said something you didn't mean it, but problem is once you say something you can't take it back.
yeah. Plus the fact that if it ever gets let out that Maeve is a changeling, it's going to. Maeve's probably gonna get mouthy in the way that she's probably gonna say that I say something along the lines of "You're not my real mom," and it being true, it's somewhat true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like that's what I mean that I mean yeah, that's just gonna if she said that that just would care that would just feel like a that just feel like she plunged a dagger into her mom's heart.
Yeah, really would not want to be a parent in that situation.
That would not I also can say that would not be a fun scene for me to write.
Nope.
I'm not kidding when I wasn't kidding though when I tweeted I think it was yesterday or the day before that as much of a cliche as it is, there are times when it's legitimately not fun to write this book.
There are times where you're going to have to write the characters an asshole when you don't want to.
It's not because it's a chore to write, it's just more because of the emotional toll it takes on me.
Yeah, that should be, to be honest. And some writers will put in moments that that actually happens to them, such as remember on Babylon 5 when Garibaldi was going through that whole phase of alcoholism again in the fifth season
Yeah.
when he orders a coffee and the waiter gets snooty with him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually something that happened to JMS. He was running off with no sleep, had to go to a dinner, a work related dinner. It was at a fancy restaurant, and he got the snootiest waiter possible, who who tried to steer him away from from ordering coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So that led to a rather cranky telling him off.
Damn.
And there's when he did before Watchmen, there's a moment between the two Night Owls where the original Night Owl had done something really terrible and was going to confess it in his autobiography, which he gave those pages to the original to the new Night Owl.
Did Dan, I think yeah, his name was Dan, I think.
I think so. Well, Dan read them and had a conversation about whether or not to reveal that. And that conversation was based on the conversation he had with Michael O'Hare before he left Babylon 5, after he was about to have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, and oh my god, I mean it's just like I looked up Michael O'Hare's Wikipedia page, and then I found out that he was struggling with bipolar disorder, and then he committed suicide. And it's just like
He didn't commit suicide. He went off the medication, ended up in a halfway home, and died of pneumonia. I think it was. But yeah, it was just an incredibly sad situation.
If I remember correctly, in the end of that story, doesn't Dan kind of tell Hollis, like, yeah, I think that the original Night Owl's name was Hollis. Like, he tells him, I think it's better that the world never knows this.
Yeah, and in the case of Michael O'Hare, he told to that after if he dies before JMS, that he told JMS to I let the world know it could happen to anyone.
Oh man,
Yep.
it's kind of funny though, because like Dan's essentially keeping a lie just so he can keep Hollis's legend intact because the world gets more out of that. If I could actually remind. Oh man, now I'm reminded of that one Rick and Morty episode. It's the one where Morty talks Rick into letting him choose an adventure. And then there's that thing with the jelly bean guy.
Yeah.
And like Rick figures out what he tried to do to Morty and he kills him. Well, there's a post-credit scene in that same episode where, okay, because it's revealed that the jelly bean is actually the king of the village they were trying to help out.
Huh.
Okay, so the villagers go through the jelly bean's house and they find some very telling pictures in there, and one of the villagers says, "Burn them. The community will get more out of the jelly bean they thought he was than the jelly bean he actually was."
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what Dan was doing in that issue of Before Watchmen. I mean, like he's saying it's essentially the same reasoning because the world gets more out of the Night Owl they thought Hollis was instead of whom he actually is.
Or at least that what he had done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same reasoning though, and I mean, like I said, I always had issues with Before Watchmen because it's like I always ask myself, why do we need these?
Well, with DC, it was to make some money.
Well, duh.
To be honest, I thought reading them was interesting. I mean, yeah, there's some continuity issues, but I actually think that the Before Watchmen series, in terms of story, in terms of character story, were much better written than Watchmen. I know, sacrilege. I said that these creators wrote better than Alan Moore.
I'm not gonna fight you on that. Not because I agree with you. Just because I just don't really care. Mike put it well. People rather have icons than humans.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of speaks to why people are so sick of the so-called superheroes not acting like heroes.
Yeah, if you're going to do something that deconstructs superheroes, make your own characters.
Or if anything, like do what Frank Miller did with Daredevil. Like, if you're break him down, but build him back up.
Exactly.
I mean, like seriously, anyone who wants to go the deconstruct the superhero route, reading Daredevil Born Again should be required. Like, you need to read that arc cover to cover, and you are not allowed to start deconstructing your next superhero until you get why that story works. Like you should be like you need like basically this is it. You have to read Born Again, and then you have to submit it, and then you have to submit an essay on why it works. And this is not an essay where you get an opinion. There's a correct answer. If you don't get it right, you go back and you come and you try it again and again until you finally get it.
Oh, definitely. It's just common sense. Because everyone who does that whole deconstruction route, they tend to do it in a way that it's going to be, oh, this is who they really are, as opposed to a temporary kind of story.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason why the deconstruction route rubs everyone the wrong way so much is just because of how cynical it is.
Yeah. And at least with Batman Year One, it was dark, but wasn't a deconstruction of Batman.
I might be going off the movie version, but I'm not convinced that's really a Batman story. Feels more like it's a Commissioner Gordon story with Batman in it.
In a way, but they do more with Batman in the comic than in the movie.
Okay, that might be it.
Also, a funny story is that the voice actor for Batman in Batman Year One.
Yeah, I know. He's the same guy who plays Gordon on Gotham.
Yep. So in a way, it's a Gordon story, no matter what.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah.
The big problem I got with Batman Year One, the movie, is that it was more of they leaned much more heavily towards the Gordon storyline.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just probably it was probably just something got lost in adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had similar conversation along those lines with Victor regarding Scott Pilgrim. Because he's like, with Scott Pilgrim the movie, you kind of see the more heroic side of Scott, but the books actually show that, well, Scott's character can basically be summed up with a line from Kim: Scott, you're a hero in your own. Scott, you're a hero in your own mind.
Yeah.
And once you kind of realize that once you realize that Scott's just being an unreliable narrator, that's when you realize, wait, you kind of realize he's not actually that good of a person.
Oh no.
I mean, he's not completely unredeemable. It's just that he's just not the hero he thinks he is.
Yeah, and to a certain degree, they tell you in the very first line that he's not a very good person when he's a 22-year-old dating a high schooler.
But his justification is they don't do anything but hold hands.
Yeah, that's what. There's always justifications.
I mean, that should be very telling, because that's how he rationalizes it away. But it's not that bad. All we do is hold hands.
Yep. Boy, does it get awkward.
It even gets more awkward when you realize he is cheating on Knives when he keeps trying to get together with Ramona. I mean, fuck it. Even when you go right down to even Ramona's not that good of a person.
In a way, there's pretty much nobody that's really good person that
I actually think
my story.
Now, I would say the best person in Scott Pilgrim would be Kim.
Yeah. She's blunt and honest.
Yeah. Kim's only the best Kim's the best person just because everyone else is worse than she is.
Yep.
Actually, though, I'm cutting Nye some slack just because she's a teenage girl who doesn't know better.
That's very true. She doesn't know better any better, but it's a little. It makes you wonder how that's gonna mess with her later on.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the two best people are just wow. Actually, I just realized the two best people in Scott Pilgrim are two of Scott's exes.
Yeah.
And only one just because she has a caveat attached.
Everyone's worse than her.
Yeah, like I said, Nyes is only good because like she's young and doesn't know better. Kim is good just because everyone else is worse than her. But at least Kim hasn't. But at least Kim is honest honest with everyone, and she's with everyone and every blah 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 blah. Okay, but yeah, the point is like that's something like something that just was completely missing in the movie though. I mean, it kind of acknowledged that Scott wasn't that good of a person, but at the same time, it didn't really show it either.
To a certain point, they can't show everything in the comic because of
volumes of material, and they're squeezing into an hour and a half movie. That can't be done.
Nope. And also, you've got Scott, who's compared to Roma's exes. So that says a lot.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of amazing though, like even though when you get right down to it, Scott is not that good of a person, you still kind of like him.
Yeah, he's a charismatic douchebag.
And I guess it's just more like he has enough faults that but he also has enough redeemable qualities to make you not completely hate his guts.
Yeah.
It's just more like his faults and his vices and virtues balance each other out.
Pretty much. In fact, you could probably call him a pretty well balanced character.
Yeah, he's just. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, he's well balanced. I mean, even though the whole conceit of the book is showing that this guy you've been cheering for, he's not really that good of a person.
And I'm pretty sure the books are all about growing up.
Well, yeah, it's just like because I think even the book kind of sort of at least hinted at that Scott and Ramona's relationship probably would not be that healthy.
No. Although, it's in a way you could probably say that when you find out that Scott Pilgrim is dating a teenager, that's part of his not growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's like in his early 20s, but he still acts like a teenager.
Yeah, he doesn't act like he's fully grown.
Nobody's really fully grown at that age.
No, but to the point where he's supposed to, at least grown to a certain point that he's supposed to be at.
Hmm.
For someone who's living on his own and all that.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just like, I mean, the relationship angle's good and all, but I think like something that at least would resonate with me more is just that, like, what does Scott want to do with his life? Like what does he, like, he just wants this girl, he doesn't have any ambition outside of that? Like, it doesn't even seem like he even takes the stuff with his band all that seriously.
He's kind of like the aimless 20-something.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get so everyone's kind of aimless at that age, but it's like I think most people sort of at least are trying to figure out what they want to do at that age.
Yeah, though I don't really remember. Did he ever have a job?
But who?
Did Scott Pilgrim have a job?
Not that I can remember. Like I said, about the only thing I could tell that he was doing that got him any income at all was just his band.
Yeah,
Or,
and that's
or he was either that or Wallace was letting him live in his apartment for free.
which is whatever. You could probably say that he was a scumbag for that.
Let me take. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look to see if he had a job in the books. Blah, 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 blah. Let's say plot. Here we are. Plays for a band, bass player for a band, yada yada. Slacker living in Toronto with his roommate, yada yada yada. Doesn't. I think we can assume that Wallace lets him live with him for free.
Yeah, sounds definitely like someone who lives in Toronto.
Somehow I get the feeling healing Westwood. I get this. So I get the feeling healing Westwood beg to differ.
Well, I'm referring to Andy Worski.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that we know someone from Toronto who's like
Yeah,
10 times. Is like 10 times better than Worski.
and Blake Northcott is in the Toronto area.
Well, to be fair, Blake's actually has actually done something with her life.
Oh yeah,
Like it's like for real. What the fuck has Worski done?
mess up people's lives.
Exactly.
Do cocaine,
Have a
and
brief,
by cocaine, I mean a prostitute named Cocaine.
whoa! You didn't even do actual coke.
Oh, I'm just joking about that.
Okay. Also, have a brief stint as a streamer and one of the pioneers of internet blood sports. And
It goes to show you how worthless internet blood sports is if he's the pioneer.
I think we already settled the matter that Tonka was the only one who was. Tonka was the real winner of all that.
Oh yeah, because he understood that the internet blood sports had to be didn't have to be real.
Yeah. 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 But still, but yeah. But yeah, I think it's yeah, and I think another thing like what people hate about deconstructing heroes is just that the writers who do it, they seem obsessed with the flaws.
Yep.
Like it's like they took that whole flaws make a character seem more human and they learned the wrong lesson from that.
Yeah, it's I get the feeling that when Mark Millar was doing the whole Ultimate universe, his idea for more realistic superheroes
Hmm.
was he probably also thought of the idea of making a second generation of heroes to be who resemble more of the superheroes that we're seeing now from Marvel as a form of superheroes who don't know they're villains. Unfortunately, Marvel took. I get the feeling that Marvel would I had probably taken that the wrong way and decided to make those superheroes actual hero or claim that they're actual heroes.
Like, I think like I think where the I think where the real wrong turn came was after Civil War.
I think the wrong turn came when all the talented writers left
Not just that.
and left and basically left Brian Michael Bendis as the only decent writer there.
Yeah. I mean, I would say though, I think like Bendis at least had the right idea when he was doing with Ultimate Spider-Man, because like what he was doing was like he was trying to update it.
I think what ended up happening with Bendis was that he got overworked.
Yeah, and now DC's got him when he's basically washed up.
Yeah, he's now burnt out from carrying Marvel for so many years.
Pretty much, it's like, they just, if he was smart, he'd just call it a career.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe he's got one more good book in him, but like just get that out and just say, yeah, this is the last book I'm ever writing. I'm just calling it. I've got nothing left.
Although he's not going to do it.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's at the age where he can retire and live comfortably.
Nope. In fact, even the famous writers and artists are still having a hard time with retirement. The only ones who really last, who really are able to retire, was Stan Lee.
Pretty sure Bill Kane had a good retirement.
Yeah.
No, but Bob Kane.
Jack Kirby. But then again,
I would say Steve Ditko, but he never really cared.
Yeah, but Stan Lee never really retired.
Yeah.
He continued writing for the Spider-Man newspaper strip.
Yeah.
And I think that's up until his death.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely saying Bob Kane had a good comfy retirement. At least he looked like he had it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, his Superman careers did not.
Yeah, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, I think like one of them went to work spent the rest of his career working as a postal service, and the other died penniless.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, I think it was Joe Shuster. He was basically working in the post office, and then he got like a letter in the mail about the Superman movie. Was it Schuster who was working in the post office?
I'll look it up.
I don't remember. Yeah. Actually, that is just. Jack actually did. Yeah, Jack. I don't think I think it goes without saying that he definitely retired comfy. I'm gonna wonder how is it Bob Kane? How is it Bob Kane managed to get off so easy?
Because I think he was more shrewd when it came to money, and making certain that he got the majority, all the credit.
He did have to screw Bill Finger over, though.
Yep. And oh boy, was that a bad was that bad for Bill Finger.
Yeah. You're correct, Mike. Kane did write off the back of Finger. Actually,
Yeah.
if we're getting right down to it, they technically both wrote off the back of Walter Gibson.
Yeah.
That's not no, yeah. This is actually not up for this is not actually up for debate. The first issue of Detective Comics, it is a 1-to-1 plagiarism of the shadow novel Partners of Peril.
Jeez.
And the only reason this did not blow up sooner was because that was not a shadow novel that Walter Gibson wrote. Like
No,
at the height of the Shadow's popularity, the demand was so high they had to go bi-monthly, and Gibson just simply did not have the time to write all of them, so they had a sort of a B team to handle novels that he couldn't do. And basically Finger and Kane got lucky. Because let me put it, because because let me put it this way, if they had picked one that he had wrote, he probably would have raised hell, and his I forget the name of his publisher. Let's just say they would have done to DC justifiably what DC unfairly did to Fawcett Comics.
Oh, no doubt. They would have been on the. They would be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
God knows what the DC Pantheon would be like.
Well, they probably wouldn't have Shazam in it. Well, they probably even wouldn't have Batman in it. Actually, fuck. If the Shadow people had gotten to do them at the right time, probably wouldn't even exist at all.
Nope. And basically, it's possible that in this alternate universe, Fawcett Comics is one of the big two.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it actually gives you a lot to think about when you realize just. It just gives you a lot to think about when you realize just how much that one thing mattered.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Like just how dramatically different things would be if Walter Gibson had actually raised hell and gotten his publisher to sue DC for ripping off the Shadow.
Of course, there's also the possibility that they would have refused to do so until they saw DC sue Fawcett Comics for Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Although, can I just say, I think Shazam is a better name, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like it just has more personality than Captain Marvel.
That does. You know, the funny thing is, I saw the Death Veil episode where they had the Captain Marvels face off against each other.
Yeah.
Turns out Shazam's the more powerful of the two.
Did they censor the comment section?
Nope. Because what Death Veil does is that they lay out the facts, nothing but the facts. So once you saw that Shazam could punch a black hole into existence, you knew it was over for Marvel's Captain Marvel. I mean, yes, he could destroy a planet, but that's nothing compared to creating a black hole from just punching.
Can I just okay, not to get too distracted, but okay, do you know how the whole thing about how the Weebs did the black hole Chan thing?
Yeah.
I feel weird about the fact that they basically turned Black Hole Chan into a MILF. Actually, in this,
No, I am.
actually, I'm looking at one where she is just hugging Earth Chan to death, and she's saying, "Auntie Black, you're crushing me." Actually, in that case, she's not really a MILF, but unfortunately, I don't think I can pronounce. How do you make Auntie I'd like to fuck? It just doesn't. It doesn't sound. You can't make a good acronym out of that. It doesn't sound. It just doesn't sound like anything.
No, it doesn't.
Elf. It just now it sounds like I'm trying to say elf, but I've got a thick Southern drawl.
Yeah, it's probably fair. It's fair not to dwell on that.
My mind goes to weird places when it's.
I can tell. But yeah, it's really funny how Brie Larson tells Chris Hemsworth that she's stronger than him.
Yeah, well, that kid from Shazam begs to differ.
Yep. And what I really find funny is how people are latching onto that as though there's some kind of animosity between the two, when it's very clearly banter between the two actors. You guys are just grasping at straws here.
Yeah.
Kind of like how with Anime Gate, there are people who are making these conspiracy theories that the reason why the guy who the guy from Full Screen who's in charge of Versative had left the company. They're making the claim that Vic Mino is about to sue Versative, and he wanted to get away from it as far as possible.
Wow.
Here's the thing: even if he did, if Versative was sued, he'd be brought in as well. So it doesn't matter either way.
Hey, I was just, hey, dude, I was just going through Twitter and I just see that Dan posted that he was going to be putting Molly Beans on hiatus.
Well, he's at a point with the comic where it's a good point. It's gonna be a good point to have hiatus at.
Yeah. Well, I just checked the post and he just put down like what he's hinting at what he's doing with the Mythoverse Kickstarter with us and also the strip with Antonella.
Yep.
Which reminds me crap. We go off air. We go off air. We gotta discuss what we gotta do with the net. We gotta discuss that a little bit more because gonna be getting paid tonight.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, wow, we've been going at it for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that is true. We have like that. I think in this case we just had stuff we could actually. It was just easier to talk about shit this week.
Yeah, probably because we had a week off.
Well, you can thank my job for that.
Yeah, but I think we'll have a regular schedule.
Well, I'm hoping we can get a more regular schedule with this new job I'm looking at.
Yeah, if you can do weekends with the Wicked games, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really hoping for that. In fact, I'm even hoping that if I can get weekends off, I think there's something we can work out there.
Oh yeah. Plus, I'll actually have money.
Oh yeah, because this is, oh boy. Let's just say, guys, without going into too much detail, this job I'm eyeing can pay me out $3,000 a month. I can do a lot with that.
Oh yeah. Who knows? Maybe we could have more projects in store.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, I know I'm going to have an announcement on the Wicked podcast on Saturday for a new project that involves their magazine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Earlier today, if I seemed distracted during the stream, it was because I was looking over artwork from the artist I'm working with for it.
Oh, so you settled on one then?
What?
So you've settled on one then?
Yep.
Okay. Not to get a little too random, but this was just something I tweeted about earlier because right before we went live, I was watching Godzilla versus Mothra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding when I say this actually happens in the movie. Godzilla falls into a fault line and ends up in magma. He swims through molten magma and manages to surface in Mount Fuji. Look. He swam through molten magma and he got out fine. Like nothing. Like he's not burning or anything.
Well, it's Godzilla.
Well, then again, for perspective, this was in the Heisei series, and it started. The first movie had him. They trapped him inside another volcano, and he was stuck in there for 5 years.
Jeez.
And then you got Final Wars, where he took a meteor. He took a meteor hit right to the face and was fine. Like he's right at the middle of the impact.
Jeez.
I get it. He's supposed to be indestructible. It's like, yeah. And I basically said that. It's like, I want to complain that him being able to swim through molten magma strains credulity, but then I remembered this scene from Final Wars.
Yeah, it's not every day you can take a hit to the face from a meteor.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, like the whole conceit is he's supposed to be indestructible anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He survives nuclear explosions. Well, he doesn't just survive off them; he feeds off them. I'm like,
It goes crazy. It gets crazy, honestly.
this is shit. Yeah, it's also stuff we're never. That kind of stuff, like that's the only thing. Those are the things you could only see in the Japanese versions. Like we're never gonna see that happen in the MonsterVerse as much as awesome as it looks. They decided they wanted to go the more realistic, quote unquote.
More realistic. Often this someone saying that they have no idea what they're doing, but they're gonna do it their way.
Now here's the caveat. They kept why this works, why this approach works, is because they still at least kept most of the most of the iconic traits. That's why it still works. Sure, they strive for a more realistic take on it, but they have it. But like, unlike say the '98 one, like I said, they kept a lot of the iconic traits from Godzilla, like the atomic breath and the near indestructibility.
Oh yeah.
And the worst the worst the military got him was the one time they struck him in the gills, and that was by accident. I don't think they were aiming for it.
Which is interesting.
I was actually watching a Dangerville video, and they actually touched on how that's something that could be played with in the movies, because And it actually also
Hmm.
put a lot of Godzilla and why Godzilla seems so tired and winded throughout that movie into perspective. Because if he has gills, that means he doesn't have lungs.
Yeah. Which is
It means he can only stay on land for so long. He was getting tired basically because he was running out of breath.
so basically what happens with Godzilla if you keep him on land for too long, he'll eventually die.
Yeah, he's got it. Pretty much, yeah, he just basically suffocates because his body doesn't process oxygen that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a problem that can take care of itself in a way.
How so?
Well, if the military is able to keep Godzilla on land and keep him away from water and from the sea, ocean,
Yeah.
he'll eventually suffocate.
Well, that's the rub. I think it's kind of. I think that's the rub is just getting him to go that far inland,
Yep.
and I'm pretty sure he's got enough. He's got a. This Godzilla's shown that he's intelligent. Like he's not dumb enough to stay on. He's not going to stay on land longer than he has to.
Definitely won't, and it's pretty dumb for him not to do so. But then again, it begs the question of why does he go on land to begin with?
Well, huh. Well, wouldn't that make him an amphibian, not a giant lizard? Isn't there a lizard like that? That's not a salamander. I don't know. It's just like I'm trying to figure out how this is supposed to work, Mike.
Look, Godzilla happens.
He went on. Well, he had to go on land in the first movie because there wasn't any other way for him to kill those Mutos. And he's obviously got and obviously his body can't handle being on land for a while. He just can't stay there. He's like,
Yeah.
He's not purely aquatic, but he does. But I think if he's got gills, he obviously spends the majority of his life underwater. Yeah, man, they probably would have. I don't know. I think it might have meant. I think it was just because they had to come up with a reason why he had stayed underground, why he hadn't been seen up until that point more often. So like they thought like he would have spent most of that time underwater, and so they put in gills so it would make sense.
It's possible.
Or maybe he's like, yeah. I know there's like an article that talked about why they put the gills in there. I mean, like, when you get right down to it, even in the Japanese movies, he was he spent most of his time underwater.
Yep.
Fuck, I think there's even a book that was written by Godzilla's creator Tomoyuki Tanaka that said he had gills there. It was kind of a way for them to explain the holes in the suit that were there, the air holes in the suit.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like that. Well, I don't know if anyone else knows this, but that suit got really hot because it was so heavy.
Yep.
And not only that, I mean, if the actor's got no means of breathing, he's gonna suffocate in there. In fact, I think one of the first suit actor actually passed out during filming.
Yikes.
I actually didn't know he had gills. Weird. Yeah, it's actually in one of the books, and if you pay attention in 2014, Mike, you can actually see that he's got gills on his neck. I don't know. Or it could just, or maybe it's also possible that maybe he just had that maybe he has gills for water and he has a normal lung system. He has a normal lung system for when he's on land.
It's possible. I mean,
Thinking there was another Dangerville video where where they said like another possible reason why he seems so out of shape was because he had been asleep for so long.
now there they go. But fat shaming Godzilla.
I really like Dangerville. Like they're one of like them and Wikizilla are my top two Godzilla channels.
Mm.
I mean, I like Wikizilla is good if you want to just get like the facts and trivia. Dangerville is good for like keeping up to date on this and on what's going on, as well as doing a little speculation and like they actually talked about like how dangerous Godzilla's atomic breath is.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very dangerous because what he's belting out essentially is, well, gamma radiation.
And that doesn't turn you into a Hulk or give you superpowers.
Let me put it for perspective. This is the same radiation this is the same radiation that got spat out when the Chernobyl plant had a meltdown.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And
I'll be right back.
do you know that the area surrounding the plant is still uninhabitable for humans to this day?
Yeah. It's pretty. It's a monument for being careful with nuclear power plants.
Yeah.
You need to be careful. Keep safety. Hey, I'll be right back for a second.
Yeah, go ahead. It just weirds me out being a kid who was super into reptiles back in the day. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure they're reptiles that have gills. Reptiles with gills. Yeah, almost all reptiles. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Okay, well, I found an article that's about the difference between amphibians and reptiles. Okay, so amphibians do have gills. Oh wait, no, it's more like amphibians have gills when they're young, but they grow lungs as they get older. That's why, yeah, that actually makes sense when frogs have. Yeah, tadpoles have gills and they lose them as they mature. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, he's a. You know what? If I'm really thinking that hard about a giant lizard that breathes atomic fire, I'm probably doing something wrong anyway, Mike.
I'm back.
I.
So, are we gonna have an hour stream before the Kickstarter?
Are we gonna live stream for the Kickstarter? You know.
No, before the Kickstarter. They were probably going to be doing something on the day of the launch, but
Yeah, you know, it would actually be a good, you know, it'd actually be a good thing to, you know, do like maybe like the last few hours leading up to the launch, like okay, actually I gotta understand, how would this work? I'd have to ask Dan, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the campaign doesn't go live up until Dan hits a button.
oh yeah, So I have to wonder, are we gonna? Do you have?
So if I had to guess, so like so the 25th could roll around and like and it wouldn't technically be active until like we could keep it inactive until like say noon that day.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if you had a day off, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
That depends if I got the. Actually, the week that goes on, the only other day off I'll have is Monday, I think.
Okay. So you want to talk about what's going to go on the Kickstarter? So this is gonna be the last stream before it goes on air.
Might as well. Okay, so yeah, we'll just take a look at the back rewards. Okay, so if you pledge $1 or more, you get a cheapified thank you. You just what that basically means is you will get a thank you email with a personalized thank you image with chibi images done by Dan. It'll be of Maeve Adobe and Althea. If you pledge $5, you get digital downloads of all 3 books. Now there's at 8, we've got 3 different options. You get the print copy of the book of your choice, along with a digital download of the theme song that was done by Zelen Tallis. You go for 15, you get digital downloads of all 3, and all 3 theme songs. Although I think we should probably talk to Dan about including the Mythoverse theme song in that as well.
Yep. I think you might have forgotten about that.
Yeah. Wait, also at the 15, you get print copies of all 3 titles. $30, you get print copies of all 3 that are done with the variant covers that were done by Antonella, and along with a print of a poster that was done by Luigi from the Rags team. Along with the music. Anything more to add to that, Matt?
No, I think for now that's good.
Yeah. Oh, wait, actually, yeah, the one detail I gotta remember is if you're going for print, these will only ship in the US.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem that we are facing with in terms of internationals, that it'll cost too much for us to keep cost effective. It's a real shame because I want our international backers to have the same things that the US backers are getting, but it's an unfortunate reality.
That's the problem. Yeah, we just don't have. Wicked just does not have the resources to ship internationally. It just costs too much.
Yeah.
We're good. Hopefully someday we can fix that. And who knows? Maybe someday down the line we could try running a campaign to get print versions to international. Do an international print run. Maybe. I want to stress that point. That's a maybe. We don't know that we will do that.
And if we do, everything that was limited edition for the first run, for the first campaign, will be back for the international, so that they get a chance to get for it.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll just, actually, I think if we did do if we did a campaign for an international print, I think we should try and get it to also get them translate. Well, I want to say get them translated, but then they run into you can't really control for whom's going to back from where.
Yeah, unfortunately. and it'd be too much money to hire a translator at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, what it would like let me put it this way, like if we get like backers like say out down in Mexico, like we could get one in Spanish. Oh, but no, oh, and then we got one in France. We got some in France. Got to get them in French. Oh, look, Germany. Got to get them in German. Oh, look, got them in Korea. Got to get them done in Korean. And then yeah, there's just no way to control for that. They'd have to be printed in English.
Yep.
Well, if you can't speak English, you're kind of I'm sorry.
Screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't understand English, I'm sorry about that. This is the reality that an indie creator faces. You don't have the resources big two guys have.
Nor the deals with publishing companies, with printers.
Yeah. Or the ability to hire translators in different with pretty much every language possible. Which sucks because you know what I think I would love to get Changeling translated to Japanese or Korean, like just it would do. I just have a feeling it would do really well out in Asia.
No doubt. I mean, you've got the style down. It's just you gotta deal with the translations.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And that's something we can at least that's something we can look forward to, is getting an international print run after this first campaign. We'll just see how the chips fall. I think that's something we'd have to pursue if the demand was high enough.
Yep. So, U.S. backers, if you want your international friends to have this book or these books, better get on it. International backers, we're going to want to see that you really want to see this in print by getting the digitals.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, even I mean, dude, even Dan said like he would love to have Brett Keller or Adobe Kroger if the demand was high enough.
Again,
somehow I get the feeling that could very well happen.
oh, I have no doubt about it.
I mean, come on, I mean, like Brett is such a hot ticket item. The idea of him coloring it, and if our Kickstarter does well enough, which we have pretty good feeling it will, yeah, there would be a high demand for. I could see there being a high demand for that.
You know, if we were to get $12,000 out of this, it'll be great.
We'll see.
Definitely would blow my mind if I hit 30,000.
Shit. All I can say is any extra money we get off this is just going to go towards just getting the machine running even further. We just want to get our people paid more so they can get on to the next issue.
Yeah, I think 32,000 is when we'll be able to 32,000, 34,000. That'll be about the price that amount that we can comfortably do issue 5s for all of our books. So, backers, at least $32,000 to get all 5 issues of each book.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. It's the 17th. That's next Thursday when we go up.
Yep. And we can do live streams on Kickstarter. So what we could probably do is have a live stream each week and promote it through that.
Mm-hmm. And I think what'll work really well is if I don't know if all three of us are always going to be present for that, but I think it'll help if at least one of us is able to do it.
Yeah. So I think it'd be good to have two of us there.
Yeah, that's the rub is whether is provided you and I have days off that line up again. And I'm not sure if I can guarantee that.
Or we could do something in the morning.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I think that if we're just going till noon, if we get up at go from 9 a.m. till noon, that's something I can swing.
For you, noon for me, noon would be about 3 p.m. Yeah,
3 p.m.
It'd be on a day off that I'd have to do it.
I think we can swing something.
Yeah. But who knows? We could probably do something on Sunday if Dan's free for that.
Yeah, we also could. That's also a good point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. All right. 2 hours. I'm ready. I think I'm ready to call it next week. Mythoverse goes live, guys. Don't miss it.
And if you do, we'll cut you.
He doesn't actually mean that.
That's what he says.
Yeah, you're Vietnamese. You'll just lay bamboo traps.
That's part of stamming.
Me, I'm Irish. I'll just mail him a pipe bomb.
And that'll be the reason why nobody can throw the trash outside.
Although all the homeless people we get up in Washington, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
All right. See you guys next week for the Kickstarter in 8 days.
Don't miss it.